Ben Reymenants is one of the international team of divers who was looking for the 13, a dive instructor with thousands of hours of underwater experience. He told me via Skype about being a central member of the rescue mission as they pushed deeper and deeper into the caves.
The first days was really hard, and we had very little hope. We were taking turns with the British team, and the first day we decided it's never going to work. The outflow was so strong, it was really pulling hand over hand. The visibility was zero. It was really mud flowing out. But then the rain stopped for a little while. The pumps were doing their job, and we actually could see, and then we progressed quite a bit. It was roughly 1.5 kilometers until the chamber where we presumed the kids would be. And the last days we progressed a lot, and then before yesterday, our lines ended about 400 meters from the caves. The British cavers took over from us, pushed the last stretch, and they found them. It's a miracle because we had very, very little hope, to be honest, because it was just all speculations. They could be there, they could have drowned, they could have, So luckily, the coach in the end had some sense and stayed them together in the dry and conserved their energy. And that saved him in the end, because 10 days, no food, no light, just some water dripping from the walls, and huddled together in a pile of mud.
Tell me about that journey in again. So it is dark, there is a really strong pull in the water, and sometimes it is terribly, terribly narrow, isn't it?
So there's 3 passages which are about 60 meters high, which obviously the Navy SEALs have difficulties getting through there because they're diving on a standard cylinder on their back, and they got stuck several times. Now, us and the British guys, we use a system called side mount, where we have the tanks underneath our armpits, which allowed us to pass through those sections. And we managed to pull 1.5 kilometers of thick rope to help us pulling against the currents, and we reached in the end. So it's a miracle. Also that they are all alive and all mentally surprisingly they were quite responsive.
It's absolutely wonderful. It's such great news. But as you describe the journey in, I'm thinking of them making the journey out, and the prospect of doing that is terrifying to someone like me who has no experience of scuba diving, no experience of caving, no experience of travelling in narrow spaces in the dark, and that's those children too. So is it possible, do you think, to get them out that way with the water there?
That's the biggest discussion now, and as you say, the biggest challenge is yet to come to get them out. The opinions are very divided on what to do. There's a lot of military teams available from different countries. They brought full face masks in order to get them out, but those restrictions, they can't swim. So imagine teaching them to dive in a short time frame. There's a real risk involved over quite a stretch of cave system, and it's a maze of small tunnels. So that's one option. The hopes were that the water would reside. They put massive pumps, and they managed to drop the water with about 2 meters. They needed just another 2 meters to drop, and they could literally float the kids out with life jackets. But yesterday morning, the water started coming up a little bit again, and they're expecting heavy storms. So, which wouldn't facilitate getting them out, actually make it very, very dangerous. And then they come to the last option, which would be make them literally hibernate the monsoon until the water resides. So maybe you've heard a couple of Thai doctors volunteered to be locked up in the cave with the kids with enough food and medication to survive those 3 to 4 months.
Can I ask you about your mental state when you are in those caves, particularly when you're first in them and you don't really know where you're going or what you're going to find? How do you remain calm? Clearly that's part of your training and your experience, but how do you not panic?
You try and stay focused and don't think about the kids, and don't think about the 12-year-old kids that have their whole life in front of them, because that would push you beyond the limits. And sometimes you just have to turn around when you when all the red flags go up and you're lost, and it's you with your hands in the mud, and you can't find another passage, or you're stuck in a crevice that you can't move. One time my buddy actually had to pull me out of a crevice by my fins because I couldn't turn around anymore. Yeah, we turned around a few times. The British team turned around a few times, and we surfaced both in a sump and saying this is not going to happen. I was telling me, yeah, this is too dangerous. But then conditions cleared up, and the rain stopped. The water cleared up. We could actually see a meter, which is a luxury in that cave system. And then we progressed a lot. We found a good connection, the famous T junction where they were looking for days. We connected that, and then straight after us came the British divers. Told them, hey, go there, go left, and they managed to find them. So it's been a really good team effort, especially because they brought some dry caving speleo guys who knew the cave from before, and they gave some hints. They'd been there 3 times when the cave was dry. They gave hints where to go and where to turn, because I'd never been in that cave. Now they had the British cave divers. So it was really an exploration trip to trial and error.
And when the trial and error led to the kids and their coach being found, can you describe your sense of joy, I guess, elation, I suspect?
Yes. Yeah, I'm not really cry, but yes, then of course it's hard to keep the tears away. And also outside, everybody was screaming and crying. I got a massive hug from the Admiral, normally a very stiff person, and yeah, we were giving luck bracelets and all these kind of things. So the joy was really there. But yeah, like I said, it was only half the work. Now the real challenge comes to get them out, or to keep them alive at least.
Ben Reymenants, who is one of the rescue divers who was part of the mission that ended up finding those kids.